The entire galaxy regarded humans as the most unusual, bizarre, and extraordinary beings in the universe. Nothing they ever expressed or performed made any sense whatsoever. I recalled all the antics these eccentric apes engaged in. I remember a particular instance during one of their wars, a contentious species unlike any we had encountered before. They had fully informed the rest of the galaxy of their intention to initiate a minor skirmish and were adamant about no one intervening, promising retaliation. They were entrenched in a remote system when, unexpectedly, a small civilian cargo ship emerged from hyperspace into the fray, urgently requesting emergency assistance. The human fleets involved in that battle, known to be fierce adversaries, suddenly disengaged and flew alongside each other to assist the damaged vessel. After providing aid and arranging for the ship to be secured and towed to a dry dock for repairs, the human fleets simply resumed their war music and continued firing at one another. The humans not engaged in the conflict found the situation amusing, while the rest of the galaxy spent the following months uttering the phrase "dock" as the only thing ever spoken. Another instance involved a human marine, one of humanity's warrior class, who single-handedly left an entire Serantis infantry division to charge a Marantis battle line. The astonishing part was that it actually succeeded. Apparently, he was tired of being yelled at by his sergeants. The Sanes and Moraines were two subsets of the same species, sharing a fractional lineage across two distinct gene lines, and had clashed over a mining dispute that had persisted for centuries. If you wish to understand a human, in drawing a comparison, consider the Democrats and Republicans and their enduring conflict. Both belong to the same nation and exhibit a similar level of absurdity. They were a highly honorable and traditionalist species that prioritized discipline and duty above all else. They wielded considerable influence over the political landscape of the galaxy, yet they could never resolve their disputes, primarily employing tactics and weaponry that humans deemed outdated and self-destructive. Although few casualties were reported during their confrontations, battles could extend for hours, with skirmishes occurring months apart, ultimately culminating in decisive battles. Each side possessed laser muskets, firing a single shot at one another before breaking formation to engage in individual combat until a victor emerged. Humans, it seems, had long abandoned this practice and reportedly struggled to suppress their laughter upon learning of it. In one such battle, a human, though not a marine but rather a star pilot, crashed on the planet and, in exchange for repairing his ship, was conscripted to serve in the human Marine Corps. Apparently weary of the formation and the lengthy speeches of his commanding officer, he broke ranks, charged the Marantis main battle line, and somehow reached the end without firing a shot. Instead, he climbed into the trenches and pounced on the enemy commander, flipping open his helmet and shouting at the top of his lungs, "Get me out of here!" right in the commander's face before charging back to friendly lines. The sheer absurdity of the situation was reportedly remarkable. The commander was traumatized to such a degree that he was later discovered donning a bedsheet as a ceremonial robe, attempting to court-martial a snack cake for insubordination. The battle concluded, and both factions ensured that within a few days, the human had his ship repaired and departed the planet. The commander seemingly recovered from his psychosis, but never overcame his animosity towards a specific brand of snack cake, attempting to court-martial it for sedition upon seeing one. Other scenarios included humans consuming or drinking items they were aware were detrimental to their health. While most species steered clear of poison, humans ingested it for amusement. Cigarettes, as I understood them, were a potent toxin to most other beings, yet humans utilized them as a mild sedative. Humans could endure bullet wounds or plasma bolts and continue fighting, often unaware they had been shot, only acknowledging the injury when informed or when the battle concluded. We never comprehended humans. They were all so strange. Then one day, a human performed an action that actually made sense. It was an ordinary day in the habitat, monitoring a refinery control panel and checking temperatures. My name is Wag, just Wag. Most other species find it challenging or outright offensive to pronounce our names, so they typically refer to the first part and leave it at that. Our species consists of crab-like humanoids, approximately the size of an earth horse, and I can attest to this as I had the unfortunate experience of encountering one such creature in person, which did not end well. I remained quietly at my control panel. At my workplace, an alloy refinery, blissfully unaware of the impending events, a human engaged in a logical action. Marcus then burst through the door, clutching a datapad. Although he was approximately a foot shorter than I am, I have yet to defeat him in close combat. Like most humans, Marcus is of average height, standing at 5'9", with a brown tuft of hair atop his head and a smaller tuft on his upper lip. His skin appeared as if he had been baking in an oven. "Waga fastic in kora arane kutai. Good morning to you," he exclaimed cheerfully, slapping a datapad onto my desk. "Good morning, Marcus. You seem quite pleased," I remarked. One of my eye stalks focused on him while the other remained on my work. "Indeed I am. I received the reports from the last quota and we exceeded expectations, which means we will all receive paycheck bonuses this month." He pointed enthusiastically at the datapad he held. "Oh, excellent! I can visit my clutch back home earlier this year." I clicked my mandibles in joy and promptly disabled my work for a brief break so we could converse. "Yep, I have a pub crawl planned for the weekend with the boys from janitorial," he inquired. "Oh, definitely, indubitably." I clacked my claws in delight. "Oh, by the way," he said, handing me another datapad with a somewhat sinister grin on his face. "What is this?" I asked. "It's a petition that has been circulating lately, and it has already gathered 6 billion signatures," he replied, still wearing that sinister smile. I read the petition, a call for GW change. The reclassification of species within the universe is an essential undertaking for most beings, as they gradually develop intellect and technology, or as we uncover new information about them. Consequently, we arrive at the following conclusion and request that changes be implemented to reflect this. We hereby submit a petition to classify the beings known as politicians as a distinct species. The rationale behind this is that, with a few extremely rare and notable exceptions, politicians exhibit a uniform demeanor, attitude, and behavior, irrespective of their origins. They display traits such as pompousness, a lack of consideration, and a certain quality of elitism or a holier-than-thou mindset. Thus, all politicians tend to behave similarly, as if they operate under a collective consciousness regarding the concept of power and its addictive nature. Even the kindest or most amiable individuals can succumb to this notion and transform dramatically, seemingly overnight. With few exceptions, each politician appears to be ensnared in the same delusion of power, saturated with grandeur upon attaining a position of authority. Therefore, this petition exists to reclassify all politicians as their own species, allowing for their behavior to be subjected to scrutiny and necessary ridicule. We, the people, looked up at him, and he simply smiled down at me. I signed the document, and he took the datapad. We exchanged glances for a moment before bursting into fits of hysterical laughter. After some time, we bid farewell, with the likelihood of meeting later for drinks after work. That moment was the only instance when a human did something that truly made sense. Well, not the only instance, but for me at least, it was the most significant one.